Hello, and welcome to this review of the Last Chance Scoundrels historical romance book series by Eva Leigh. I'm Olivia, your favorite resource for book recommendations you can easily screenshot, and you're watching Random Olive Reads. First up is The Good Girl's Guide to Rakes. After younger sons of an earl, Kieran and Finn assist their friend Dom in jilting their own sister Willa at the altar, both families set down an ultimatum for the three scoundrels. Each needs to marry a respectable woman within 12 months' time, or they all get financially cut off. Kieran's book is first, followed by Finn in book 2, and then we get to see Dom in book 3. Now, as terrible a scoundrel Kieran is, he doesn't have the best reputation amongst respectable ladies of the time, so he needs a little assistance gaining entry into polite events. He asks Dom's sister, Celeste, the epitome of a proper young woman, to help him get into these events so that he can find a suitable bride. She refuses at first, but when her father insists that she has to marry her Earl of a suitor at the end of the season, she decides she needs to strike a bargain with Kieran. She'll help him if he promises to take her to all the scandalous places she's always wished to go to at night. Of course, in spending all this time together, they grow close and fall in love, and they were already attracted to each other at the beginning of the story anyway, so, totally predictable. It was fun to see Kieran learn a different side to Celeste and appreciate the tough and brave person she is underneath all of that societal propriety she always exhibits in the daytime. Next up is Finn's story in How the Wallflower Was Won. Now, at the start of this book, Finn is trying to set up Dom with the blue stocking Tabitha, thinking that they would make for an easy marriage of convenience. However, Dom is not interested in courting or marrying Tabitha and Tabitha herself is completely intimidated by Dom anyway. Plus, Finn and Tabitha are clearly drawn to each other. The problem here is that Tabitha is a well read intellectual lady trying to gain entry into a prestigious academic society, while Finn has always been berated and his father pretty much calls him an imbecile. He's not, he just has trouble reading, but he's clever and observant. But he's got this whole persona where he thinks himself a fool and an imbecile. Finn thinks that he's absolutely no match for Tabitha and is afraid that she will despise him once she finds out the truth about his intellect or lack thereof. Tabitha is also wary of emotional entanglements because a past hurtful experience, but is slowly opening up to Finn. Now, these two are deeply guarded with their feelings and with each other, but it's plain to everyone else that they adore each other. I especially loved how Finn was supportive of Tabitha's ambitions and her intellectualism, and that he completely respected her opinions and her knowledge. He judged himself to be unworthy of her and that she is so far above him, even though she's all insecure that she's not like the great beauty or outgoing or sociable one that would have trouble keeping his attention. Obviously, this starts as a marriage of convenience, so feelings were not involved at the start, but they grow close pretty quickly. And finally, we have A Rogue's Rules for Seduction, which is book 3. Now we get to revisit Dom and Willa. It has been nearly a year since Dom abandoned Willa at the altar, and Kieran and Finn have decided to conspire to bring them both together to the same isolated island house party in Scotland. So now Dom and Willa have to finally talk out their issues if they have any hope of moving on, whether that's together or apart. We could quickly see that while they were courting and engaged, each were playing a bit of a role and enjoyed the shock value of the other person's status rather than the person they truly were. Dom is the prior dockside worker who is now wealthy, but is sort of disparaged by the aristocracy. And now, Willa, who is the daughter of an earl, she's always been brash and outrageous, and she had a lot of fun shocking the ton with her brutish suitor. Dom had sort of viewed Willa as this unattainable prize who first he felt proud to court, but then ultimately he felt guilty that he was so far below her standing, ultimately leading to his abandonment at the altar. Now it's a year later, they're in the same place again, and they start to realize they treated each other pretty superficially in their courtship and their engagement. And they realize that a marriage at that time would have resulted in a very unhappy relationship. But the spark and attraction continues to exist between them, and now that they're being more honest with each other, they're starting to give in to those desires, even though they're not quite willing to risk their hearts yet. Overall, this series works really well when you read it in order, especially as you get to the third book. Knowing what happens at the beginning of book one with the sort of abandoned wedding is really helpful for understanding the dynamic of Dom and Willa's relationship in book three. Also, you get to see Dom's demeanor and sort of self torture throughout the first two books so that you really feel sympathetic towards him, even though he's the one who left the bride. All 3 scoundrels are actually really thoughtful and considerate people, so there isn't really a major character shift for any of them along the way, aside from just falling in love and respecting and supporting their partners. These books were easy to read, quick pacing, lots of steam. Overall, I really enjoyed reading all 3 of these books and pretty much binge read them over the course of about 4 days. I'm excited to see what series Eva Lee is working on next. Thank you so much for watching this video. Links to all 3 books are in the description box. Like and subscribe so you don't miss future videos, and you can follow me on Instagram at randomolive.